I'm Leon Taylor, diving athlete, hoping to go to the Beijing Olympics later this year, and this is where I train. Follow me. Leon Taylor, diving. The highest board here is a 10-metre platform, okay, and that's the board that I specialise in. You have to be a little bit crazy to go off that board. When you hit the water, you hit it over 40 miles an hour, and it takes less than 1.5 seconds to get from the board and into the water. I got into diving at the age of 8, and basically from an early age I was into a whole host of sports, and the story goes that I was a hyperactive child. So my parents channeled me into sport to try and tire me out and give themselves a rest, but I think they sold themselves a dummy there, because they were up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take me swimming, they collect me from school, then I go to gymnastics, and then when they said, do you want to start diving, I said yes, and any other sport that came along as a youngster, I think my default answer was, do you want to try that? Yes. The Olympic Games, I was lucky enough to qualify at the age of 18, went to Atlanta and finished 18th, so that was my first Olympic experience, which was to this day probably the biggest impact on me as a person and me as a career. To go to Olympic Games at that age was a real eye-opener. And then of course 4 years later went to Sydney, and Sydney was an amazing Olympics, but ended up an agonising 4th. And to have come so close to win an Olympic medal and ultimately a dream was actually devastating. And then the 4 years after Sydney were a real roller coaster. I had 2 lots of shoulder surgery, but I fought through, and Peter Waterfield and I in the men's synchronised 10 metre realised our collective dream and won a silver on day 1 of the 2004 Olympics, so a very special time.
Working with Leon as a silver medalist already, with the aspirations that he has, is just really exciting and motivating, and it's a challenge. The challenge isn't to make his dives score 10s, but to get his body in a place where he can train comfortably, and then the diving takes care of itself. So he is an individual, and it's a really exciting journey. He's a very bright, positive character. He's very good at finding the positives in all situations, and when you've had as many setbacks with injury as he has, if you haven't got that strength, you're really in trouble.
Yeah, I've certainly had my fair share of injuries, so it's a case of managing, doing what you can do. I mean, it's very easy to sit down and get really frustrated and start kicking chairs around, and believe you me, I do feel like that, but at the end of the day I can only concentrate on what I can do, so I'm concentrating on getting as much physiotherapy that I can. But yes, incredibly frustrating. I really want to be in, I really want to be doing my dives, and I mean that's my driving force, my motivation, so I think that's what keeps me going each day.
Leon's been managing injuries since around about 2000 when he got his first problems with his shoulder, but at every step he's taken the appropriate medical intervention, whether it's surgery or physio or strength and conditioning. So for him it's been, as he's got older, not so much a battle to keep his dives scoring 10s, it's been more about keeping his body in shape so that he can go and do his dives and then he will score 10s. He had another procedure in January, which he's on the back of the rehabilitation from right now, and history has shown us over the last few years that if we can get his body to where it's moving freely and smoothly and he's comfortable, the time taken between then and getting his dives off with real class isn't very long. So yeah, I'm really confident.
I mean, I'm 30 years old now, which of course isn't old, but in diving, certainly in platform years, it's a little bit like dog years. I think you get 7 to every 1 year, so I'm about 232 in platform years. See, it's a good job it works. You put me through that much pain.
Halfway through.
And it didn't work. I'd be like, I'm going home. I mean, I've had 4 shoulder surgeries on my right shoulder, and most recently 9 weeks ago I had a hernia repair. So I've certainly been in the wars, but it goes, you know, there's no one else in the sport in the world who's 30 diving off the 10 metre still at a competitive level. So it kind of, the writing's on the wall. This is my final few months, and if I can get myself in the kind of shape that I was in later on, at the back end of last year, then I should be good for this summer's games. A training day would be 6 hours, 3 of which would be spent in the pool, split into 2 sessions. The other 3 would be spent down in the dryland area and in the weight room, doing like yoga-based, Pilates-based exercises, trampolining, somersaulting, and preparing yourself to dive. Because there's one thing getting in the pool and diving, and it's another thing, you know, being strong enough, flexible enough, powerful enough, and supple enough in order to perform those moves.
The youngest ones are 8 or 9, and we do mix and match the ones with similar aspirations and physical talent across the age ranges, because those guys who have high aspirations for the future, they can learn so much from somebody like Leon who's been there and done it for more than 10 years. Well, a lot of the stuff he does with them is showing them by example and talking to them about what it means to be a professional, how to conduct yourself like an elite athlete, what lessons you can take from experiences that are both good and bad. And he's done it so well with the Sheffield guys that even though his diving career is going to come to an end after Beijing, he's still going to be used by British diving a lot to help divers all around the country achieve their best as senior internationals.
Hi, I'm James. And I'm Megan, and we're Hi, I'm James. And I'm Megan, and we're part of the JD. Oh my god! Try to say it. Yeah, you say it. You say Megan. Nice. I'm Megan. I'm James, and we're part of the 2012 JD squad. When we're on camps, he gives you tips, and he doesn't make it boring. He tells you to keep smiling on the inside, even if you're not smiling on the outside. Well, the adrenaline that's going around your body is you're on fire. When you've got nerves and everything, what's going wrong and what's going to happen on the other side. But you just got to conquer that fear. Like Leon takes you through that fear. It's fun. It's fun. It keeps you focused and yeah, just training with him and seeing him how he trains. Just really wants. It really makes you want to go there. We'd like to go to 2012.
Young Thomas Daly at the moment. He's just won the European Championships at the age of 13, men's European champion at the age of 13. And I've been working with Tom for a few years now as his mentor. I mean, when he first started to show real signs of being a superstar, I was fortunate enough to, just put my hand up and say, hey, maybe I can, share some of my experiences with this young boy, and who knows what will happen. And he's gone from strength to strength over the past 3 years, and he's made the Olympic Games team already. And he's going to be one of the youngest ever, I think the second youngest ever British Olympian. So what an achievement! I've got a few competitions in between now and the Olympic trials. The Olympic trials are the end of June. And because it's very specific, we've got only 2 pairs will probably be in the Olympic trial. You've got myself and Peter, a current Olympic silver medalist, and you've got Thomas Daly and his partner Blake Holdridge, who are currently, they've just placed, third at the World Cup in China in February in order to qualify Great Britain a spot. So it's going to be a high octane competition, just 2 pairs fighting it out for 1 spot.
They are the odd couple, but they are Britain's first silver medal in diving for, 80 years, and Britain's first diving medal for 44 years.
Got mixed feelings. I'm glad that, if Peter and I, do what we can do and we win the trial, then Tom will still go to the Olympics anyway, so I won't feel so bad as his mentor beating him and kicking him out the Olympics, because he's actually got his spot on the plane anyway. So it looks like a win-win to me. I come back to full fitness, Peter and I win the trial in synchro, and Tom gets to go individually. I'm being pretty greedy actually, because my 4th and final Olympics in my sport is an incredible, long illustrious career, especially in my event. You normally get 1 or 2 Olympics out of your body and then it packs up. I mean, I've kept mine ticking over for 4. So it's sad in many ways, because I would love to compete in London, because the Olympic Games is the world's greatest event. I've been lucky enough to compete at 3, so I know that for a fact. Also, to compete at the world's greatest event on your home soil would be, every athlete's dream come true. But there's no way feasibly that I could possibly ask my body to go another 4 years, another 4 months, and it's complaining like hell. So, it's going to be an interesting time when I retire. But I'm looking forward to being part of London and playing as many roles as I can, and enjoying the Olympics from a slightly different perspective. Well, it's 1 step at a time at the moment. I mean, the only reason that I would go to Beijing is if I was confident that I could put in a medal-winning performance. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll come away with a medal. In a sport like diving, where it's a subjective sport, and you've got so many uncontrollables. I mean, if I go in and Peter and I go in and we perform as we can, then we are good enough to win a medal. The colours are taken care of on the day. All it takes is 1 slight error by another team and they go straight out the medal. So it's very difficult to predict. It's not alternate. It's not like a time when you go, well, if I swim or run this time, then I'm likely to place here. So to win the trials in the end of June will assure us that we are good enough to go to the Olympics and win a medal. And I'd like to emulate what we did in Athens and come back with another gong.